10 amazing oud fragrances. Let's talk about it.
Here's some codes to save you some cash on your next Middle Eastern niche or designer fragrances.
What's going on, guys? My name is Neeb. Welcome back to AROMATIX. Today we're going to be talking about what I truly love and enjoy in perfumery, the note of oud. We're going to be talking about 10 beautiful oud fragrances. And whenever I think about some of the best ones in my collection, I tend to look at a lot of these. Now, of course, in my collection, I've got a lot more oud fragrances than this that I personally think are amazing. Some of which are 10s, and really they all have their different appreciations for one thing or another, different accords and etc. I don't really like to rate them. I enjoy them all differently. They're all significantly different as well, except for maybe 2 of these in this list. Now, let's just go ahead and get started with a heavy hitting fragrance that's probably more common and more known in the community, making this one easier to relate, and we'll start to maybe dive into lesser known fragrances. So first one on this list is going to be Royal Tobacco. Royal Tobacco is, oh my god, it's so addicting. I can't keep sniffing this. If I put it to my nose again, I will not stop smelling it all freaking day. I'll end up spraying it on and I'll smell like it all day. It's tobacco, but much more than that. There's also this distinctive funk coming from the note of oud in here. It smells like bridal bakhur. It smells like $1,000,000. This is one that you do have to be more apt into enjoying those raunchy, earthy, but also slightly animalic oud fragrances. I say slightly, but it is very animalic to a lot of people. It's more than just that. There's fenugreek, there's a lot of other spices, and it screams cigar shop, cigar lounge, with the best bridal bakhur being lit up in the air. So many more aromatic notes, spicy notes. I mean, it's a plethora of notes that's beautifully crafted into this bad boy right here. Royal Tobacco won a lot of awards as well, and it rightfully deserves to have done exactly that. So that's the first one, Royal Tobacco. Next one on this list has been discontinued, but sometimes you can find it. It's relatively harder to find, but whenever I do, I post it in the community tab because this was an absolute shame that they discontinued, and I need to get my nose on it again. It's Tom Ford's Tobacco Oud. Believe it or not, I don't find this one that animalic, honestly. And if you really think about that whole tobacco oud combination that this one does as well, Tom Ford really did test the waters with it. This is not nearly as raunchy as Royal Tobacco, and they're very different, but it still has that animalic oud. To my nose, it's not that animalic. Once upon a time, it was, though. Once upon a time when I was sniffing this, I'd be like, damn, that's animalic, and I freaking love it. But nowadays, I get my nose on it, and it's like my eyes on it, I guess, too. But it's not that animalic. I love it. It's fresh tobacco leaves rather than an incense vibe. There isn't that bakhur vibe, and just a combination of that with those dry woods, specifically an animalic oud accord. This one has a lot more aromatics, whereas this one goes much more towards the dry and woody nature of things. Beautiful fragrance, nevertheless. Number 2, Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Performance on these, like with most of these other fragrances, are just annihilation. Like, they last all freaking day, all right? Like, and some, until you wash your clothes, basically. And that's the case with this one as well, and it's relatively more affordable than some of these other ones. It's called Arabian Oud's Najd. Arabian Oud Najd is a beautiful fragrance that has a lot of accords, much more than just oud. It's oud, it's ambery, it's rosy, there's a lot of florals as well. This reminds me of something like Roja's Amber Oud, basically. Except to my nose, it's slightly more animalic. Yes, it is definitely going slightly more on towards the barnyard side of things, less focused on the floral and ambery nature of things, but it's still absolutely there. I would still call the star players the rose and amber combination, but I was saying that in reference to Roja's Amber Oud. Amber, oudy, animalic, smells like an Indian aged style oud fragrance, nevertheless beautiful, rosy, ambery, and this one I find to be pretty damn unisex, okay? That's Arabian Oud's Najd. Next one up is one that does something similar. It does that whole amber, oudy, and rose combination. This is called Dar al-Tib Zafaf. It has a similar style DNA, but it doesn't go nearly as floral as something like Najd. And because of that, it's a bit more subtle. It still has the ambery nature, it still has the undertone of florals with that very similar style oud, except for the fact that, like I said, much less floral. And that can translate into something that's a bit more appropriate and leaning slightly more towards the unisex side of things. I find both of these to be unisex, whereas Najd is a bit more appropriate for both genders. Zafaf leans more towards the masculine side of things because of this deer-styled musk that it claims to, be styled in. Obviously, it's not going to use real deer musk, IFRA regulations, etc. But it does have more of a dry nature to it, less of a floral aspect. So take Najd and kind of make it slightly lean more masculine, and that's basically what you get. They are different scent profiles, though. I personally enjoy the fact that I have both, and both wears was a different experience. This one was a lot drier, a bit more towards the musky nature and ambers and oud side of things with the rosy undertone, while as Najd absolutely annihilated in terms of projection with the whole rosy and floral nuances as well. It does smell like it might have something of ylang ylang as well, the Najd more so than Zafaf for sure. So it did help with the projection as well. Next one is one that a lot of other people know about as well, and it has a plethora of notes. It's called called Spirit of Dubai Fahama. Fahama is exactly that, man. This is absolutely opulent stuff. A lot of notes, dried fruits, very sexy, ambery. I mean, this is date night, but also you want to smell like $1,000,000, man, this is the one to go with. For a lot of these fragrances that we've spoken on so far, I would personally wear them all year round, except for the summertime, the high heat. Personally, this one right here, Zafaf, maybe the one that you can get away with during the high heat, but this one as well, no high heat occasions, okay? A lot of these other occasions I would personally reserve for high end where you want to smell like $1,000,000. That's going to be the case with a lot of these oud fragrances, and we're going to be talking about them more so in the later portion of the video, unless there's something specific, like in this case. This is one where I would generally say wear what you want when you want, but this is one that I would reserve more so for, like, you can get away with it during the fall, as long as I wouldn't say more than 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It should be saved for more special occasions just because of the sheer complexity and the way that this one projects. Absolutely phenomenal. Best weather that I found this one to work in was about 55, 60 degrees Fahrenheit, light brisk wind, beautiful stuff. Next one is a bit more versatile than the rest that we did mention, because it does a little bit more of like this cashmere wood style oud fragrance, and it's called Maali by Oud Elite. Maali has this woody, ISO-E super dry, slightly peppered nature fragrance, which doesn't really center its focus too much on animalic oud, but it is slightly there, especially to the Western population. It does have this sense of opulence and money, and you can rock it into the summertime. I personally wouldn't go high heat, but summer days, wear what you want when you want. This is one of those where I would say, yeah, okay, sure, you can get away with this one maybe in the earlier days of the summertime, although there are better alternatives like something of Amiri. But for this one, for the most part, every other season, and it just smells like money. Smells kind of like cashmere, but it also has amber, musk, a little bit of a peppery nature to it, cedar wood, and that cashmere oud. So dry, brittle woods, ISO-E super cashmere musk style DNA is exactly what Oud Elite is. Taking that similar style DNA, adding a bit more of this aged Indian oud, so more of a funk, and intensifying some of those ambers, you end up with something like this, which is called Ghali by Oud Elite. The same brand, different fragrance. It's definitely a little bit more animalic, has more complexity to it. I personally love that fragrance, and if I had to pick between the two, the animalic nature of Ghali makes it feel like you're getting a little bit more. If you're not that into animalic fragrances, then you might have already clicked off, but if you got this far, Ghali just smells like that. It smells expensive, which is what Ghali translates into. So Ghali is one that projected like crazy, got me compliments as well. If it works on you, it works on you, and that's the case with me. Oud just works on me, and for a lot of people that don't like it, it's a very valid reason. If you don't like oud, it doesn't work on you, it's not your thing. It is what it is. For me personally, the funkier, well, if it works on you, it works on you. For me personally, oud, it works on me, man, and it gets me compliments. So Ghali is another one that smells extremely Ghali, but it does have a very similar nature of that whole Kashmiran vibe, the dry ISO-E super, slightly peppery, a little bit more ambery than Maali. So that's a similar style DNA of dry musks with enhanced ambers and that aged Indian oud and animalic as well. Next one you probably haven't heard of. This is a freaking beast of a fragrance, relatively new, and it's much more than just oud. This is, out of all of these, one of my favorite ones. I will always have one of these in my collection, and because it's small, I'm tempted to grab another one, but realizing the quality of this, the potency of this, I'm probably not going to go through this for a long time, and considering my collection size. This is one that the creator himself poured into this bottle as it was in the preparation process, as they do with their other bottles as well. Phenomenal fragrance from a new house called Maxim Perfume. Maxim Perfume is, I believe, the son of Bortnikov. So if you know anything about Bortnikov fragrances, they have some crazy quality stuff. Their juices is top notch, top tier stuff, it really is. But they do have a lot of animalic accords. They know how to use oud with a lot of their style fragrances. Oud, amber. The one I have there is amber cologne, I believe. Yes, amber cologne it is. And this one is called Cafe Mystique. I have all three from the new collection. It's called amber balsam and musk. This one right here, musk couture. Out of all of them, this is a freaking showstopper. This smells like gahwa bun, okay? So bun coffee, which is also known as Turkish coffee. Najat, fresh stuff. Straight up fresh coffee with the proper dose, which a lot of people might say overdose, but it's the proper dose of freshly ground or freshly smashed cardamom. That's how naturalistic this smells. But underneath all of that, you've got the finest oud that's burning in the background. Some Thailand oud. High quality stuff, real stuff. A lot of high quality smelling ingredients to my nose. Maybe even some essentials here, but this is authentic. The bottle presentation, it's beautiful. It's a 1 ounce, but my God, this is next level stuff. This is what they call nowadays ultra niche. I don't know. But no, seriously, this is next level stuff. It's called Cafe Mystique, and 3 sprays of this lasted me all day. Projection on it is enormous. This is beauty. If you really want something that's gonna stand you out, seriously, this is one that's gonna do absolutely that. It's kind of one that I wanted to gatekeep, not gonna lie, but there you have it. But there you have it. Maxim Perfumes Cafe Mystique. 10 out of freaking 10. Next one on this list, let's bring it back home with something that you might know of a little bit. And this is called Montel's Arabian Tonka. Beautiful fragrance, nevertheless. I mean, sure, it's relatively simple in comparison to a lot of these other oud fragrances, but I would say that it's the safer of the lot. One of the safest of the lot. It's oud, saffron, and sugar. Beautiful combination that works. It's magical. So many inspirations have come after that one. And is this an inspiration? Who freaking knows? But nevertheless, it's still a freaking 10 out of 10 from the house of Montel. A gorgeous fragrance nevertheless. Last but not least is one that you might have heard of, but not enough of. This is from Abdul Samad Al Qurashi, and it's called Al Qurashi Night Intense. A lot of different notes in this fragrance. Starts off floral. There's a note of rose, oud, also some lily, musk, and some oud. I would imagine that there's maybe this vanilla undertone to it as well. Smells like it could also have some creamy sandalwood, but it doesn't list that on the website. On the website, I don't know what's up with their website, but it never shows you. A lot of their different notes are never really placed there. It gives you like this error code or whatever it may be. This smells like a creamy floral with a rose amber oud style dry down. The musky nature just enhances the whole creamy nuance or the creamy nature of it. And it kind of smells like it could be something in between like oud satin mood meets blessed baraka. So it doesn't necessarily have that baby powder DNA. Take that completely away, but it doesn't have the intense amber nature of blessed baraka. And I did a lot of side-by-side comparisons with them just to kind of give you guys an idea, not necessarily to say, oh, they did this or anything like that. No, but when you have a DNA that you've never really tested or heard of, at least by getting your nose on some of these other ones, you can get an idea for it. So with Blessed Baraka, it definitely goes a lot more towards the realm of the ambers. It's much more pungent. It's much warmer, deeper, and richer, while this one focuses a little bit more towards a musky, creamy nature. There's oud in the fragrance for sure, but it's not really going to be anything that's in the forefront. It starts to dry down, and it's more of like this safer oud style fragrance. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this one if they grab their hands on it. Floral, ambery, and with that woody, oudy rose undertone. The only other fragrance that I could even give a slight comparison to would be like, think of Blessed Baraka if you were to tone down what its signature is, basically that intense amber note. You would end up with something like this. You'll get all of the other accords, that sandalwood, the creamy nature of it, the rose oud style combination of fragrance. You'll get this one. I see a lot of people compare it to like 40 knots and etc., but I don't really get the whole 40 knots nature. Regardless of the fact, if you like those florals, if you like the creamy floral nature that goes a little bit lighter than your typical cream. I know when most people say creamy, you're gonna think of something that's sweet, dense, rich, but because of the florals and that slightly waxy style lily, this one goes more towards the mousse nature, mousse side of things for sure, rather than something sweet, ambery, and resinous. Floral, waxy with a rosy and oudy dry down. Much safer style oud that does have this creamy nature to it as well. There you have it, 10 out of 10 oud-based fragrances in my collection. What a tongue twister. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and until the next one, peace.